His real goal was to take the girl.
She's still missing.
That girl saw his face.
You know this guy?
Exciting developments in NCIS universe, Gibbs past, surprising comebacks, and intense drama ahead. The highly anticipated prequel series NCIS, Origins is set to delve into a pivotal chapter of Gibbs' backstory, promising fans a satisfying and enlightening exploration, as teased by showrunner David J. North. Amidst thrilling family feuds and surprising character returns, viewers can expect major twists this season. Meanwhile, NCIS continues to keep audiences on edge with a recap revealing Pirates' shocking preference for pufferfish poison, and Season 22 is already packed with diplomatic disasters and chilling double dead bodies. With speculations surrounding character fates and the future of Pedro Hernandez, fans won't want to miss these gripping developments. Dive into the full story for all the thrilling details. Hey, lovely viewers, welcome to our channel Shows Update. NCIS, Origins will tackle key part of Gibbs' backstory in a satisfying and enlightening way, teases showrunner. After just 3 episodes, co-showrunner Gina Lucida Monreal confirms that they have plans to tackle Leroy Jethro Gibbs' revenge plan against Pedro Hernandez in NCIS, Origins. The NCIS universe debuted its first prequel series chronicling the earliest years of Gibbs in the agency. While Mark Harmon narrates the events of the series, Austin Stoll plays the younger and more inexperienced version of the future MCRT leader. Since NCIS, Origins begins in 1991, just a few months after his first wife and daughter, Kelly and Shannon, were murdered, the procedural is compelled to address Gibbs' eventual entanglement with their killer, speaking with TV Line on the heels of NCIS. Origins Episode 3's release, Monreal reveals they have plans to address what happened between Gibbs and Hernandez. She doesn't get into the details of how they are going to do it, but she acknowledges that the Mexican cartel boss is far too significant in Gibbs' story not to include in the prequel. Read her full quote below. Pedro Hernandez is such a huge part of the canon of the show, and we definitely are adhering to that and servicing that. So yes, there will be moments of Pedro Hernandez that I think our fans will find that both satisfying and enlightening. What did Gibbs do to Hernandez and how that impacts his story in NCIS? Hernandez killed Kelly and Shannon. The story of Pedro Hernandez was told across multiple seasons in NCIS. Because Harmon's Gibbs wasn't forthcoming with his personal life, Kelly and Shannon's tragedy was kept from his team for years. Even Ducky, who knew him for decades, didn't know until the story was officially brought up. Even after that, it took a few more years for NCIS to fully tackle how Gibbs killed Hernandez as his act of revenge against the criminal for masterminding the murder of his family. Franks was well aware of this, and it was a secret that both men kept for years after. The flagship series already tackled how the crime created problems for both Gibbs and Franks, but NCIS, Origins will have not just to show how the incident actually happened, but also the immediate aftermath of it. As seen in Episode 3 of the prequel, Jackson Gibbs already has a hunch about Gibbs' plans to hunt down Hernandez in Mexico. It's uncertain if he will eventually learn what his son's exact plan is, but it's clear that he is against this revenge plot. Our take on how NCIS, Origins should tackle Gibbs' worst crime. NCIS, Origins cannot escape Hernandez's death. It only makes sense that the creatives behind NCIS, Origins have a plan in place for how they want to handle Hernandez's death. We saw snippets of it in the main series, but the prequel has the opportunity to show how exactly it played out, including when Gibbs planned it and what happened right after. Despite being new, NCIS, Origins has already established itself to be much darker than its peers in the franchise, so it has the ability to include the gorier details of Gibbs' worst crime in the universe. In the original series, Gibbs was depicted as the epitome of principle. Since NCIS, Origins is already redefining the procedural's true protagonist, it shouldn't really matter if the prequel shows the character's bad tendencies. In the original series, Gibbs was depicted as the epitome of principle. However, going through such a devastating experience can understandably bring out the worst people. If anything, doing this will only further humanize Gibbs. NCIS Origins bosses reveal surprising comeback and future plot details after intense family feud. NCIS Origins showrunners David J. North and Gina Lucida Monreal have hinted that a major character will be returning to the CBS prequel series later in the season. NCIS Origins executives David J. North and Gina Lucida Monreal have assured fans two legendary characters will make a comeback, despite recent shocking events on the show. In the latest episode of the hit CBS prequel, there was high drama as Special Agent Mike Franks, played by Kyle Schmid, ignited a heated debate between Jethro Gibbs, Austin Stoll, and his father, Jackson Gibbs, Robert Taylor. Jackson turned up unannounced at Frank's house to interrogate the famed NIS agent about his son's career trajectory. He bluntly suggested Franks should remove his son from the team, referencing the tragic murder of Jethro's wife and daughter by drug lord Pedro Hernandez, originally portrayed by Thomas Rosales Jr. Nevertheless, Franks is resolved to see Jethro realize his potential. Yet, after a tense exchange, Jackson exits in a rage and later admonishes his son for his quest for revenge. He warns Jethro, "You didn't join NIS to become a cop, you joined to hunt him down," adding, "and not just to cuff him and walk away," reports the Mirror. "I'm not going to let you throw your life away just to put that down in the name of vengeance. It's not worth it." Jethro responds furiously to his father, retorting, "You don't tell me what it's worth," and demands his father to go home. "I want you out by the time I get back." Monday night's viewers who tuned into the wrenching dispute may speculate that after such an explosive argument, Jackson could vanish for a large chunk, if not the remainder, of. Co-showrunner North dropped a bombshell, however, hinting that the fan favorite will return earlier than anticipated. He gushed over Taylor to TV Line, saying, "We absolutely adore Robert Taylor, and he and Austin we think are magic together," and added, "Robert and Kyle, Jackson and Franks, are also fantastic. We will see Robert again, in episode 5, and in a unique way." Moving forward, there's also a grand scheme brewing for Jethro's confrontation with Hernandez. Fans will remember that Special Agent Jethro's sniper skills brought Hernandez down in the flagship NCIS series. NCIS recap: Pirates prefer pufferfish poison. It's never a good day when your boss tells you to grab a body bag and meet him in his boss's office on the double. But that's the situation on this week's NCIS when the agent Vance, Rocky Carroll, had embedded in the Venezuelan government collapses and dies on his commercial-grade work carpet. The death of Diego Barreto comes at an inconvenient time, as Vance is embarking on high-profile talks with the Venezuelan Navy to create a joint task force to combat piracy in the Caribbean. Heck, Torres even put on a jacket for the occasion, although he's foregoing a tie, and he's got at least 3 too many shirt buttons undone. Before you can say, international incident, the team agrees to help smuggle the body out of NCIS HQ and into Barreto's hotel room for a maid to discover, which will allow them to start their investigation without jeopardizing the upcoming talks. Of course, they'll have to distract the press waiting in the big orange room to interview Vance. Parker, Gary Cole, volunteers to be the affable government stooge who ushers the group into the hallway to view the display case commemorating NCIS work abroad. The reporters are grumpy, but the ruse works, and Sean Murray and Torres, Wilmer Valderrama, scurry across the upstairs hallway carrying roughly 200 pounds of literally dead weight. KCE Diana Reasonover quickly determines that Barreto was killed with pufferfish poison, and she knows it happened in Vance's office because she's got everyone's carpet samples on file. Efficient or intrusive? Discuss. Oh, did you think an undercover agent cracking his skull open and bleeding all over Vance as he died would be the most uncomfortable thing to happen to him today? Nope. The true discomfort comes when Lena Paulson, Merrim Hassler, Vance's annual Interpol conference hookup, strolls into NCIS. The former German government agent is an independent contractor representing NATO at the talks. So not only is Vance feeling weird about her not telling him she was coming to town, but he's got to lie about the death of Barreto in front of a woman who knows all of his tells. So far, we know that Barreto was undercover with Admiral Carlos Mendoza, Carlos Gomez, and learn that someone is trying to sabotage the anti-piracy task force talks. The likeliest suspect is Fernando Vega, Lijuan Gonzalez, a new Mendoza aide who's vocally anti-American. But when Barreto's body is finally called in, McGee and Torres are surprised to learn that a dead man with a broken neck was stashed in the bathtub sometime after they deposited Barreto and dashed. The next unpleasant surprise is the arrival of Robin Cale, Zarina Mireles, a reporter with the D.C. Chronicle who tries to force her way into the crime scene with way more physical aggression than you usually see from reporters. "What is NCIS hiding?" she shouts as she leaves. Vance gets the news about the second body over drinks with Lena at the restaurant where they're meeting Mendoza. She sees how stressed he is and suggests they retire to her hotel room after dinner, but he declines. Then they dance around a relationship talk. He's surprised to hear that she's buying an apartment in New York, and she barely hides her hurt that she learned about his shooting through news reports. Neither of them's being completely open about their feelings, but it's clear that neither of them is satisfied with the state of affairs. When Mendoza arrives, his little joke about beautiful women being his weakness gets a way bigger laugh from his entourage than it really should. Then the moment's interrupted with the news of Barreto's death. Vance bluffs his way through it, but it definitely sours the mood. It also prompts Mendoza to send a security employee to oversee as Palmer, Brian Dietzen, conducts the autopsy. In light of the Venezuelan visitors, Palmer's been learning Spanish on a free app, and the one sentence he managed to pick up comes in handy: "Necesito lavarme los manos." Over the running water, Palmer scrubs his hands and tells McGee that the dead guy in the tub is a local hitman who uses pufferfish poison. Although the fingerprints on the man's body aren't in the system, Vance lifted prints from Vega's glass at dinner, which allows Casey to confirm that he's the one who snapped the hitman's neck. Also, Barreto had several off-the-books meetings with an unknown source in a Caracas apartment before his death, according to the GPS on his cell phone. When Torres and Knight, Katrina Law, track down Vega, they find him talking to a hoodie-wearing contact who gives Knight quite the battle before revealing herself to be Lena, of course. Meanwhile, Torres' chase of Vega ends in a dead-end hallway with a glib, "You done, bro?" In questioning, Lena admits that she's back with the German government because she was Vega's original handler. Now he's undercover with the Venezuelan government to ferret out the assassin hired to scuttle the task force talks, likely at the behest of Hezbollah, which wants to continue smuggling diamonds around the Caribbean. My word, we're really crisscrossing the globe here. That night, Vance stops by Parker's place, which remains a drool-worthy oasis of brick and greenery. For real, put that place on VRBO so I can stay for a long weekend. Mark Harmon knew Austin Stoll would play young Leroy Gibbs at first NCIS Origins audition. I felt the room jump. Vance is ostensibly there to let Parker know that they told the press about increased security at the talks in the hopes that the news will deter the assassin. But really, he needs to talk to a buddy who also went through a near-death, knocking on heaven's door moment last year. Parker admits that he had some surprising thoughts while he was bleeding out on that decommissioned ship in last season's finale. He says he hasn't unpacked it all yet, which means we're likely in for an exploration of Alden's sister trauma in a future episode. Bring it on, I say. Vance, meanwhile, thought about how he wants to spend the time he has left, and who he wants to spend it with. Although he claims he's not sure what that looks like, Parker suggests that Vance needs to be honest with himself first if he wants honesty from anyone else. Anyone is how we're pronouncing Lena tonight, for the record. Hey, remember when I said that Robin Cale from the DC Chronicle was surprisingly ready to fistfight a cop for access to Barrett's hotel room? Turns out, Cale was fired from the Chronicle months ago, and a domain belonging to the Chronicle's been used to email Hezbollah. We've got a radicalized reporter on our hands, people. And said radicalized reporters snatched Lena and told Vance he's got an hour to scrap the talks or his ladylove is dead. Vance orders his team, including Torres in a snazzy suit and tie, all his buttons buttoned, to get out there and save his woman, thereby keeping the Caribbean waterways safe for everyone except diamond smugglers. Thankfully, Lena flashed her smartwatch at the CCTV camera as Cale was hurting out of the hotel with a gun to her back, and the team's able to track it to where she's being held. Unfortunately, it's too far away for Cale's deadline. To buy the team time, Parker yet again is shoved in front of the press to stall. This time, he embarks on a lengthy history of U.S./Venezuelan relations beginning in 1853 and ending with, some would say that Miguel Cabrera was the greatest Venezuelan player in the MLB, but I dunno, have you seen Felix Hernandez? Ha! Just as Cale's taunting Lena about Vance's lack of concern for her well-being, the team bursts in to rescue her and the talks are successfully resumed. NCIS alum Polly Parrott says she'd never return to acting, 5 years after allegations against co-star Mark Harmon. But we have one twist left. Although Admiral Mendoza pretends not to know Robin Cale, the team discovered that Barreto was having an affair with the Admiral's wife, so he hired the hitman to take him out. Beautiful women really are his weakness. The episode ends with Mendoza returning home to receive a slap on the wrist and Vance mustering the courage to say he wants a real relationship with Lena. She's quiet for long enough that he starts to feel foolish, but she saves him from bursting into embarrassed flames by handing him his copy of the key to her new apartment. Cheers to this couple. Please don't kill this woman, show. Stray shots. Como se dice pruni en español? Let's cross all of our fingers that Leon Vance gets to be happy for the rest of his life with Lena. The poor man's been through it. He deserves a hot German operative to come home to. Speaking of deserving good things, Jess. Jimmy. We need you two to talk things out, okay? In conclusion, I know where I'd like to spend at least a little of the time I have left on this earth, in Plant Daddy Parker's green slice of heaven on earth. NCIS Season 22, Episode 2 Recap, Diplomatic Disasters and Double Dead Bodies. This week's NCIS, Foreign Bodies, opens with a bang, or, more accurately, a splat. Vance, Rocky Carroll, blood-soaked, with a dead Venezuelan agent on his office floor. Chaos ensues as the team scrambles to contain the fallout from Vance's off-the-books operation. The ensuing frantic attempts to dispose of a body discreetly, amidst a high-stakes. NCIS, Origins post-mortem, is, spoiler, gone for good? And what's the show's plan for Pedro Hernandez? The following contains spoilers from the October 21st episode of CBS NCIS, Origins. This week on CBS NCIS, Origins, Special Agent Mike Franks was subject to a pop quiz, meaning, a grilling from Gibbs' father, Jackson. As soon as Jackson, Longmire's Robert Taylor, appeared on Mike's, Kyle Schmid, doorstep, it was clear that the two shared a complicated past, dating back to NIS investigation of the deaths of Jethro's wife and daughter, who earlier that year were killed by drug kingpin Pedro Hernandez. While Jethro was finishing his tour in Operation Desert Storm, the following contains spoilers from the October 21st episode of CBS NCIS, Origins. This week on CBS NCIS, Origins, Special Agent Mike Franks was subject to a pop quiz, meaning, a grilling from Gibbs' father, Jackson. As soon as Jackson, Longmire's Robert Taylor, appeared on Mike's, Kyle Schmid, doorstep, it was clear that the two shared a complicated past, dating back to NIS investigation of the deaths of Jethro's wife and daughter, who earlier that year were killed by drug kingpin Pedro Hernandez, while Jethro was finishing his tour in Operation Desert Storm. Here, Jackson suggested/asked/demanded that Franks cut Jethro loose from the team, saying it didn't work out. His son is a sniper, no Navy cop. But Franks said he sees potential for the younger Gibbs to be a great agent. Related stories. Norman Reedus as Daryl Dixon, The Walking Dead, Daryl Dixon _ Season 2, Episode 4, photo credit, Stephanie Branchew/AMC. TWD, Daryl Dixon's Norman Reedus reacts to his character's crushing loss. I was sad to see her go. The Equalizer a Season 5 a premiere recap Episode 1. The Equalizer Season 5 premiere recap, Robin fights alone. Forever? Plus, grade it. The talk then turned to NIS handling of Shannon and Kelly's murder, and how Franks had no jurisdiction to chase their killer into Mexico. Jackson left in a huff, and later confronted his son about his true interest in NIS. You think I don't know? It took me a minute, but I put it together, Jackson told Jethro, Austin Stoll. That Sanuva bitch killed Shannon and Kelly and runs to Mexico, and you're just gonna let that go? No. You didn't join NIS to become a cop, you joined to hunt him down, and not just to cuff him and walk away. I'm not going to let you throw your life away just to put that bastard down, in the name of a vengeance, Jackson asserted. It's not worth it. Jethro begged to differ. Vehemently. You don't tell me what it's worth, he roared, before ordering his father to go home. I want you out by the time I get back. Jackson took his son's wishes to heart, leaving behind a new mattress for him to sleep on and also quietly retrieving the tin of rules that Jethro and Shannon had compiled, and Jethro just threw into the curbside trash. The following contains spoilers from the October 21st episode of CBS NCIS, Origins. This week on CBS NCIS, Origins, Special Agent Mike Franks was subject to a pop quiz, meaning a grilling from Gibbs' father, Jackson. As soon as Jackson, Longmire's Robert Taylor, appeared on Mike's, Kyle Schmid, doorstep, it was clear that the two shared a complicated past, dating back to NIS investigation of the deaths of Jethro's wife and daughter, who earlier that year were killed by drug kingpin Pedro Hernandez, while Jethro was finishing his tour in Operation Desert Storm. Here, Jackson suggested/asked/demanded that Franks cut Jethro loose from the team, saying it didn't work out. His son is a sniper, no Navy cop. But Franks said he sees potential for the younger Gibbs to be a great agent. Related stories. Norman Reedus as Daryl Dixon, The Walking Dead, Daryl Dixon _ Season 2, Episode 4, photo credit, Stephanie Branchew/AMC. TWD, Daryl Dixon's Norman Reedus reacts to his character's crushing loss. I was sad to see her go. The Equalizer a Season 5 a premiere recap EE1. The Equalizer Season 5 premiere recap, Robin fights alone. Forever? Plus, grade it. The talk then turned to NIS handling of Shannon and Kelly's murder, and how Franks had no jurisdiction to chase their killer into Mexico. Jackson left in a huff, and later confronted his son about his true interest in NIS. You think I don't know? It took me a minute, but I put it together, Jackson told Jethro, Austin Stoll. That Sanuva bitch killed Shannon and Kelly and runs to Mexico, and you're just gonna let that go? No. You didn't join NIS to become a cop, you joined to hunt him down, and not just to cuff him and walk away. I'm not going to let you throw your life away just to put that bastard down, in the name of a vengeance, Jackson asserted. It's not worth it. Jethro begged to differ. Vehemently. You don't tell me what it's worth, he roared, before ordering his father to go home. I want you out by the time I get back. Jackson took his son's wishes to heart, leaving behind a new mattress for him to sleep on and also quietly retrieving the tin of rules that Jethro and Shannon had compiled, and Jethro just threw into the curbside trash. NCIS Origins Lala. NCIS Origins star tells all about her view list. Is Jackson gone for good? We absolutely adore Robert Taylor, and he and Austin we think are magic together. Robert and Kyle, Schmid, Jackson and Franks are also fantastic. Origins co-showrunner David J. North shares with TV Line. We will see Robert again in episode 5 and in a unique way. The prequel spin-off's grand plan for Pedro Hernandez, who per NCIS lore was at some point in time taken out by Gibbs in sniper mode, is a bit more cryptic, however. Has Gibbs pulled that trigger yet? Or is that moment yet to come? Pedro Hernandez, co-showrunner Gina Lucida Monreal tells TV Line, is such a huge part of the canon of the show, and we definitely are adhering to that and servicing that. So yes, there will be moments of Pedro Hernandez that I think our fans will find that both satisfying and enlightening. Thanks for watching this videos. Please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up.